Hello, this is Mr. BNSF Train and welcome to Trains Around Kansas City, September 14th, 2016, the RBBX Finale Edition. On May 21st, 2017, the Ringling Bros Circus will perform their last show, bringing an end to the circus trains. Both the blue train and the red train were traveling on the East Coast for most of 2017. My favorite cars are these containers because they remind me of the old mail containers from the 1960s passenger trains. In 2015, most of the animals weren't carried on the train anymore, so these animal carrying cars were gone. The trains were nearly 60 cars long with 33 passenger cars and the rest were flat cars. On our way we passed a container train in Armourdale Yard. The train was led by 3963, an SD70M, and an unknown but very dirty ES44. The circus train is kept in the West Bottoms and many people arrive by RV. The train is broken down to fit in the West Bottoms yard. This is the red train, but the first generator car towards the front is from the blue train. The generator inside this car must be rather large. It could even be from an old locomotive. The only car you can see clearly is 43008. It probably came off an old work train. This car, for 2021, must have larger sleeping rooms in it. Many of these cars were heavily modified, so they have different window layouts. Although most of the wagons were unloaded and taken to the Sprint Center, a few were still sitting in the parking lot. The train was broken up so it fits about 4 to 5 sidings. I think most of these flat cars were acquired when they were phased out by spine cars and double stack cars. I guess most of them date from the 70s or the 80s or even earlier. I think the circus train is the longest string of passenger cars ever. Wouldn't it be cool if most of these sleeping cars were used to form a luxury sleeping train? One of the engines pulling the circus train was 4051, an SD70M built in 2000. 4265 leads the circus train, which is also an SD70M built in 2000, which watches as the BNSF grain train goes by. 80701 is a 94-foot long flat car and usually carries small animal cages. Also challenged with an uncertain future at this time was Kemper Arena, which once hosted professional sports will now be used for youth sports. These generator cars didn't have their appearance altered too much.
Yeah, see the roof?
As we got closer to 4/2021, you can see how worn the roof is, and there's a bicycle parked on the truck. Which is an unusual feature for these is that there's a spotlight hanging over the doorways on these cars. Now we flash back to 2008 where I took a bunch of pictures of the Ringling Bros circus train. The animal cars were parked at Union Station, so it was closer to the Sprint Center. I never got to see the animals get off these cars, but there are most likely elephants in there. This one car, 63008, is a former Union Pacific baggage car built in 1962 by the St. Louis Car Company. I liked looking at the side of these things and trying to find the end of them, which is something not common for a passenger train. Car 42007 was built as Union Pacific 5414. As you can see in these pictures, there are no flat cars here. They are probably just been shunted by that BNSF locomotive. As you can see here, I had to really zoom in on these cars. A BNSF coal train waits for a covered hopper train headed by a Union Pacific yellow diesel and a blue diesel. The second engine on that BNSF train is number 8622, a B40-8. Built in 1989 as Santa Fe 7432 and hasn't been seen since 2010. Fourth engine is BNSF 6844, an SD40-2 that used its old Burlington Northern number. It was built in 1978 as Frisco 954. After being sold to HLCX in 2011, it is now Norfolk Southern 3519. As I headed home from our current video, we see a covered hopper train on the Union Pacific tracks. And I managed to see a Missouri Pacific covered hopper on the train. I like that you can see fallen flag logos on some train cars these days.
Passenger cars!
At the end of Argentine Yard, I see two BNSF inspection passenger cars headed by an ES-44. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.